Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings. My name is Salma Nurrasyidah Fahmi of Lambung Mangkurat University, batch 2017. Today, I would like to present a material from Language Testing and Assessment, Chapter 8, Assessing Reading, from page 185 till 193. First of all, the topic of assessing reading. Assessing the assessment of reading ability does not end with the measurement of comprehension. Strategic pathways to a full understanding are often important factors to include in assessing learners, especially in the case of most classroom assessments that are formative in nature. And as we all know, most people or children, most normal children, learn to read by the age of 5 or 6 and some even earlier. With the exception of a small number of people with learning disabilities, reading is a skill that is taken for granted. As we consider a number of different types of genres or written text, the components of reading ability and specific tasks that are commonly used in the assessment of reading. Let's not forget the unobservable nature of reading. Then we cannot exactly observe whether the components or the content is seen. Other than observing a reader's eye movement and a page turning, there is no technology that enables us to see sequences of graphic symbols traveling from the pages of a book into compartments of the brain. Now, the genres of reading are divided into three that are academic reading, job-related reading, and personal reading. Examples of academic reading are mostly related to academic or studies. The examples are general interest articles in magazine, newspapers, etc., or technical reports like lab reports or professional journal articles, reference materials, textbooks, theses, essays, papers, test directions, and editorials and opinion writing. The second one, job-related reading, involves reading to find a job or gain a job, such as reading messages like phone messages, letters, emails, memos, reports, schedules, labels, sign announcements, form application questionnaires, financial documents, directories, manuals, or directions. Lastly, personal reading. Personal reading is a kind of reading we use when we are reading it for personal purpose, such as when one is reading newspapers and magazines, letters, emails, greeting cards, or invitations, messages, notes, and lists, schedules in a train, bus, or plane, recipes, menus, maps, calendars, advertisement, novels, short stories, jokes, drama, and poetry, financial documents, comic strips, or cartoons, and etc. When we realize that this list is only the beginning, it is easy to see how overwhelming it is to learn to read in foreign language. The genre of a text enables readers to apply certain schemata that will assist them in extracting appropriate meaning. And the content validity of an assessment procedure is largely established through the genre of a text. For example, if learners in a program of English for tourism have been learning how to deal with customers needing to arrange bus tours, then assessments of their ability should include guidebooks, maps, transportation schedules, calendars, and other relevant texts. Next, we are going to discuss about the micro skill of reading. The micro skills of reading comprehensions are to discriminate among the distinctive graphemes and orthographic patterns of English. Second, retain chunks of language of different lengths in a short-term memory. Third, process writing at an efficient rate of speed to suit the purpose. Then, next, recognize a core of words and interpret word order patterns and their significance. Recognize grammatical words, classes, nouns, verb, etc., system, patterns, rules, and elliptical forms. Next, recognize that a particular meaning may be expressed in a different grammatical forms. And lastly, in microskill, one needs to be able to recognize cohesive devices in written discourse and their role in signaling the relationship between and among clauses. Next, the microskills. In microskills, students need to be able to recognize the historical forms of written discourse and their significance for interpretations. And next, recognize the communicative functions of written text according to form and purpose. Infer context that is not explicit by using background knowledge from described events, ideas, etc. Infer links and connections between events, deduce causes and effects, and detect such relations as main idea, supporting idea, new information, given information, generalization, and exemplification. Next, distinguish between literal and implied meanings. Third, detect culturally specific reference and interpret them in a context of the appropriate cultural schemata. Lastly, mic- macro skills develop and use a battery of reading strategies such as scanning, skimming, detecting discourse markers, guessing, and the meaning of words from context, and activating schemata for the interpretation of text. And then the strategy is for reading comprehension. First, it is best for your students to identify the purpose in a reading text. Nextly, apply spelling rules and conventions for bottom-up decoding, as explained before in microskills. Use lexical analysis to determine the meaning. Guess at meaning of words, idiom, etc. when you aren't certain. Skim the text for the gist and for main ideas. Scan the text for specific information. Use silent reading techniques for rapid processing. Use marginal notes, outlines, charts, or semantic maps for understanding and retaining information. Distinguish between literal and implied meanings. And lastly, capitalize on discourse marker to process the relationships in the content. And next, there are the types of reading, which are as follows: percep- perceptive, selective, interactive, and extensive. Perceptive reading is tasks involve attending to the components of larger stretches of discourse, such as letters, words, punctuation, and other graphic symbols. The bottom-up processing is very much implied. Second, selective. This category is largely an artifact of assessment formats. In order to ascertain one's reading recognition of lexical, grammatical, or discourse features of language within a very short stretch of language, certain typical tasks are used, such as using picture cue tasks, matching true or false, multiple choices, etc. Stimuli include sentence, brief paragraphs, and simple charts and graphs. Brief responses are intended. The third one, interactive. Interactive reading types are stretches of language of several paragraphs to one page or more in which the reader must, in physical linguistic sense, interact with the text. Lastly, extensive reading. It applies to text of more than a page up to and including professional articles, essays, technical reports, short stories, and books. It should be noted that reading research commonly refers to extensive reading as longer stretches of discourse such as articles and books that are usually read outside a classroom hour. And then next, we are going to discuss about assigning assessment tasks specifically for perceptive reading. In perceptive reading, we have reading aloud, written response, and multiple choices, and lastly, picture cued items. When we're reading aloud, the test taker sees separate letters, words, and or short sentences and reads them aloud one by one in the presence of an administrator. Since the assessment is of reading comprehension, any recognizable oral approximation of the target response is considered correct. Next, the written response. The same stimuli are presented, and the test taker's task is to reproduce the probe in writing. Because of the transfer across different skills here, evaluation of the test taker's response must be carefully treated. If an error occurs, make sure you determine its source. What might be assumed to be a writing error, for example, may actually be a reading error and vice versa. Multiple choices. Multiple choice responses are not only a matter of choosing one of 4 or 5 possible answers. Other formats, some of which are especially useful at the low level of reading, include same or different, circle the answer, true or false, choose the letter, and matching. And next, the last one, picture cute items. In picture cute items, test takers are shown a picture, such as the one along with a written text and are given one of a number of possible tasks to perform. For example, the test takers are provided pictures of a man sitting on a couch, and then there's a table with lots of stuff with a cat below the table. With the same picture, the test taker might read sentences and then point to the context part of the picture. Test takers might here point to the part of the picture that you read about here. And then the takers see the picture and read each sentence written on a separate card. In the pictures, for example, in the pictures, the man is reading a book, and then there is the cat under a table. Matching can be an effective method of assessing reading at this level. With objects labeled A, B, C, D, or E in the picture, the test taker read words and writes the appropriate letter beside the word, whether the man is reading or not, or whether the cat is under the table or not. And that is all from me. Thank you very much for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. That is all from me. Salma Nurrasyidah Fahmi. Thank you for watching.